Welcome back to Megaman X3. I am Sire Goku, and here we are in Neon Tiger's level. Fun fact: the music you are hearing is actually a remix of My Michelle by Guns N' Roses. Thank you, Clement J642, for pointing that out, because I honestly am not that musically inclined with that band to know that. But apparently, Capcom US and Capcom Japan are big fans of Guns N' Roses because they use Guns N' Roses for a lot of music in Mega Man X. Wait till we get to Mega Man X5. But this is Neon Tiger's level, and here I am showing off just how good the Tornado Fang can be if you decide to spam it. It's not super good, but until I get the Buster upgrade, which is actually in this level, by the way, this is what I'm going to be using to tear through these Mavericks quickly. Up here we'll get the sub-tanks super easily. Just like with the last couple stages, the sub-tank and heart tank in this level are actually really easy to get. The only thing is you need the leg upgrades to get the sub-tank as well as the armor upgrade in this level. Not for the sub-tank though, so if you want to get an easy sub-tank, this is also a nice stage to go for your first choice. Though I wouldn't pick it for your first choice because Neon Tiger, without his weakness, can be a pain in the ass to deal with, but that's another story. We'll get to him when we get to him. We have these Mavericks here that just are moving walls. They're not too difficult to defeat, but you need the Tornado Fang to break through this wall, and you also need the leg upgrade in order to dash up here, and here we find another light capsule to get the Buster upgrade. So just to reiterate, you need to have gotten the leg upgrade from Blizzard Buffalo's stage, and you need to have beaten Tunnel Rhino in order to get this upgrade. Just like in Mega Man X2, you'll be able to charge 2 charge shots at once, except this time when you launch them together at the same time, you'll be able to launch a bigger charged shot than usual, and as typical, you would also be able to charge up your special weapons, which I hardly ever do in this game because unlike Mega Man X1 and 2, the charged special weapons don't really do that much extra damage. But here's the double charge shot. You'll charge up to orange, and then you shoot once and immediately shoot a second time, and you get the big charge shot and a spread shot. Unfortunately, the spread shot doesn't seem to really do that much extra damage, just from the way that it launches, but hey, it's still pretty good. Like right here, boom. It's useful in some cases, but as far as I can tell, I don't think it actually does any more damage than usual. Not like in X1 and 2. It's not that it's bad, but there have been like hacks of this game where where people changed up how the X-Buster works in this game to, instead of the second shot spreading outwards diagonally, it swarms in towards where the first shot went. So it's more like all the shots converge into one point. So you're gonna hit all of the shots are gonna hit at once. Anyway, we got this mini boss here I haven't said anything about, but that's just because this guy is not. There's not much to talk about with this mini boss. He burrows through the ground and occasionally shoots out smaller versions of himself, and then you just shoot him in the head. As far as I know, the frost shield doesn't do any extra damage. I just used it for the sake of it to hopefully get a large large life energy, which I did. But it's a super easy boss. Like I said, the majority of this stage for your first choice actually is not that hard. As for Neon Tiger himself, without his weakness, he's a little bit of a pain. This is also the spot where I like to fill up my sub-tanks, because this giant enemy here keeps respawning every time you leave, and he's really slow and predictable, so I can dodge his attacks pretty easily. But this is just me showing it off. I'm not going to sit here and farm for a sub-tank and a half full while you guys are watching. No, I'll do that off screen. But this is typically where I would fill up my sub-tanks. And you can use the Frost Shield to guarantee yourself bigger life energy drops and stuff if you want. Yeah, right here is right here specifically is where I would normally farm, because once you're able to use ride armors, you can just keep dashing between those two enemies there, and the ride armors will one-shot both of those enemies over and over again. But that'll be for a later time. For now, let's just go in here. This would be where we would fight Bit or Bite, but he still didn't want to show up. Already defeated Bit. Bite still has yet to show up. He will show up before we go to the final stages, I guarantee you. It's just, I got super unlucky and he decided not to show up until much later. And I learned my lesson from last time. I am not just jumping down a long pit now. Granted, these spikes that these enemies make are not instant kill, but I would rather not jump into them. And these enemies are super easy to deal with. You just kind of dodge them. And jumping up here, we'll find the heart tank. And you once again... Well, that one you don't necessarily need the... That one you shouldn't technically need the air dash for. Oh, excuse me. But actually, no, you do. You need to be able to dash in the air. Anyway, this is Neon Tiger. He stole Sigma's claws from X2, and he's now using them for himself. And he's just, this is what he does. He jumps to the left, jumps to the right, and if you get him a chance to attack, he'll use his Ray Splasher, which he shoots beams from his tail. And after you do a certain amount of damage, he can turn orange and become invulnerable for a few seconds while he does a charging slash attack, which does a lot of damage. But you can get him into a soft lock easily here by just standing in the middle and doing what I'm doing right here. Even if you miss, because you shoot two blades at once, even if the first blade misses, the second blade will curve back and hit him. Boom. I apologize if there's not much to say about the bosses. It's just this is what happens when their weaknesses put them into a stun lock like that. But trust me when I say that Neon Tiger without his weakness is one of the harder bosses to deal with. Not that he's impossible, just he can be frustrating. Anyway, for defeating him, we get the Ray Splasher, which is probably my favorite weapon out of all the special weapons in this game. Because you basically just fire like a machine gun that spreads out, and it's amazing. Anyway, before we move on, before we move on, now that I have the powered up Buster, I can come back here to Tunnel Rhino stage, use the powered up, I can't remember what it's called, but it's Volt Catfish's weapon. You use the powered up version of that, and it can break down these boulders. So that's how you get the heart tank there, and also coming up here, we will get another light capsule. Triad Thunder, thank you. That's what it is. Okay. Anyway, so here we get the helmet, which is slightly more useful than it was in X1, or which is slightly more useful than it was in X2. It's got a similar gimmick to it where it shows you hidden passages, except this one, actually it's a little worse, but we'll see. It's as Dr. Light mentioned, it shows a diagram of the stage layout immediately when you come in, and only when you drop in. And there's the stage layout. If there were any items that were in the stage, there would be a little orange dot in one of those squares. Now, if you want to take the time to draw that grid out, be my guest. You don't have much time to draw it, by the way, and you can't bring it up whenever you want. That would be cool if you'd be able to bring up if you could bring up the map whenever you wanted. That would be a neat feature. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. It shows up once when you enter a stage, and then it disappears. However, it does show you how many weapons and how many items you have in each stage. And you can tell which items you have, because if it's white, that means you've picked it up. If it's pink, that means you haven't gotten it yet. Which means I haven't gotten the heart and sub-tanks from Blizzard Buffalo yet. And the reason why I didn't get these is because I forgot to come back here after getting the goddamn leg upgrade, which is what you need in order to get those two. But I'll come back for those later. For now, we're going to go on to Gravity Beetle. I'm going to try... Okay, so now I can show off real quick. This is what the map looks like. Those little orange squares are going to show you where hidden items are. This would be helpful if you could pull up the map whenever you wanted. At this point, though, I can only just look at it once and then just try and remember where those are. And unfortunately, because of the way I'm going through this game right now, I can't get some of the items, including the heart tank, which is at the top left over here, because these crates are in the way. And in order for these crates to be gone, we have to defeat a different Maverick. How do we know this? Beats me. I honestly can't remember how you're supposed to figure that out. But trust me when I say you have to defeat Blast Hornet for it to work. That's the only way that it doesn't make sense as to why. Or maybe it does and I'm just not thinking about it properly. But anyway. Not much we can do in that room for now. Let's see if we run into Bit or let's see if we run into Bite here. Yes, we do. Finally. And thankfully I have his weakness. He is weak to the Tornado Fang. And if you want to get the best ending, you need to defeat him with said Tornado Fang. Now the way he works is that he's going to throw this magnet onto the wall, and he's also going to beat the shit out of you, apparently. He's going to throw this magnet onto the wall, which keeps you from jumping on the wall, and then he's going to dash at you. Thankfully, you have enough time to jump over him, but as you can see, if you get close to him, he's going to beat the shit out of you. So basically, just like with Bit, you just want to dash and jump over him. The only problem is he keeps you from jumping a lot. But make sure you finish him off with the Tornado Fang if you want to get the good ending. How can this great power can be? It wouldn't be a Capcom game if they didn't have typos. Every single X game on the Super Nintendo has one typo. I don't understand why. I guess they didn't I guess Capcom US didn't proofread any of these scripts. But say goodbye to Bite. We'll never see him again. We're still missing that mysterious Maverick, though. Huh. Don't worry, we'll see him soon. And I have the weapon that I need to defeat him, too, so we'll go to him soon. Just a word of warning, make sure you go and fight said mysterious Maverick before you defeat all 8 bosses. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, up here, if you have the leg upgrade, you can air dash up to this item here, which I'm having the hardest frickin' time getting for some reason. My timing is way off. Come on, Sire, you can do it. There you... Oh, come on. There you go. And that was the Falcon armor. Not to be confused with the Falcon armor that you get in Mega Man X5. That's the Falcon Ride armor. We'll get to showing that off soon enough. In order to show off the armors, I think I mentioned this before, but I'll bring it up again. We need to find the Chimera armor, which is in Blast Hornet's stage. So, unfortunately, due to the order that I'm going in, we're not going to be seeing these armors for quite a while. And I died. Oops. I didn't plan on that. Oh, I lost my train of thought here because we're literally seeing the exact same thing we just saw 2 seconds ago. But yeah, you gotta watch out for those cannons, because until I get the body armor upgrade, stuff is still gonna hit like a dang truck in this game. I still have one more piece of armor to get. And we'll be getting that soon enough. I do really like the music in this game, though. This is my tip on how to fill up sub-tanks and stuff. Just find a spot where there's enemies that respawn real quick, move left and right slowly, and hopefully they drop something. Unfortunately for me, they decided to be stingy with the energy drops, so I wasn't gonna sit there for another 10 minutes trying to figure that out. I still say the best spot is Neon Tiger's stage using that ride armor. But hey, it looks like we somehow stumbled into Wire Sponge's stage now because we got the same freaking elevator section there. I mean, to be fair, Megaman is not a series that... Megaman's no stranger to reusing assets, but it is kind of obvious. Like, if you play X3 immediately after X2, you'll see a lot of reused assets and stuff. Up here is where the ride armor would be, but we don't have the armor that we can use to activate it. That's the thing that annoys me too. It's like, you need a certain armor in order for the armor platform to work. So even if you get the other 3, if you don't have the first one, it doesn't matter because you can't use the other 3 without it. I don't know why that's the case, that's just how it is. Also, that entryway is going to be blocked off until you defeat a certain enemy, until you defeat a certain boss as well. It's not that big of, it's not a problem if the game would just at least give you some subtle hint as to that's how it works. I mean, I get the X1 didn't really give you a hint, but at least it made sense. Like, you beat Storm Eagle and his airship crashes into the power plant because on the map you can see that the airship was flying over the power plant. Or if you beat Chill Penguin, it ices over, or it crashes into, yeah, the power plant. Or if you beat Chill Penguin, it ices over Flame Mammoth's factory. But anyway, this is Gravity Beetle. He's gonna jump at you and then jump at you, and he's weak to the Ray Splasher. So if you just keep spamming the Ray Splasher and jumping over him when he gets close enough to you, he's never gonna hit you. He was about to use his weapon, but I said no. What he's going to do is when he's flashing like that, he'll throw a black hole up into the sky, which makes it harder for you to jump, and then he'll start shooting a whole bunch of energy beams at you. But I wasn't going to give him a chance to do that. Sorry, but that's too annoying to deal with. Yeah, for defeating Gravity Beetle, we get the Gravity Well, which is the most useless power in the game. It's only really useful for fighting Blast Hornet. But we'll get to Blast Hornet in a later video. See you guys next time.